Christmas, a season often marked by twinkling lights, joyful carols, and the warmth of family gatherings, has become synonymous with celebration and faith. Yet beneath its modern festivities lies a history that predates Christianity by centuries, a history rooted in ancient rituals, strange symbols, and the spiritual practices of pagan societies. These traditions, steeped in mystery and survival, were born from humanity's primal need to conquer the darkness of winter. Long before Christmas was a Christian holiday, ancient peoples marked December's coldest and darkest nights with rituals designed to invoke the return of the sun. Fires blazed high, feasts abounded, and prayers were fervently offered to ward off the bitter cold and ensure the earth's rebirth. These were no quaint customs, they were acts of survival. Across Europe and beyond, the winter solstice, falling on the longest night of the year, was revered as a turning point in the natural cycle, a promise that light and life would return. But how did these pagan rites become intertwined with a Christian celebration? When Christianity began to spread in the shadow of the Roman Empire, it was a faith on the margins. For centuries, its followers worshipped in secret, hiding their beliefs in catacombs and private homes, whispering prayers to a savior whose promise of eternal life defied the gods of Rome. The turning point came in the 4th century when Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, reportedly inspired by a vision before battle. Constantine's embrace of the faith elevated Christianity from a persecuted sect to the preferred religion of the empire. By 380 CE, Emperor Theodosius declared Christianity the official religion, effectively outlawing pagan worship. Yet, the Church faced an immense challenge: how to convert deeply rooted pagan societies without alienating them. The solution was cunning. Rather than erasing ancient traditions, the Church absorbed and reinterpreted them. Festivals once honoring the cycles of nature were transformed into Christian holy days. The winter solstice, with its themes of rebirth and light, was repurposed as the celebration of Christ's birth, a divine light entering a darkened world. This adaptation was not without conflict. Pagan rituals were labeled as superstitions, and their practitioners were often branded as heretics or devil worshippers. Temples to Roman and Greek gods were dismantled or converted into churches, their sacred spaces repurposed to fit the new faith. Shrines hidden in groves were destroyed, and ancient festivals were either banned or assimilated into the Christian calendar. Despite these efforts, pagan elements proved resilient. Symbols and customs tied to the old gods lingered, hidden within the fabric of the new celebrations. The decorated tree, the Yule log, and even the exchange of gifts, all hallmarks of modern Christmas, bear echoes of rituals designed to honor nature and its cycles. Among the most influential of these ancient celebrations was Saturnalia, a Roman festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. Saturn, a complex deity embodying creation and decay, was celebrated with feasts, games, and the temporary overturning of social order. During Saturnalia, slaves dined with their masters, gifts were exchanged, and the rigid structures of Roman life dissolved into joyous chaos. The festival began on December 17th and often extended for an entire week. Romans lit candles to symbolize the return of light, exchanged gifts as tokens of goodwill, and adorned their homes with greenery, symbols of life enduring through winter's chill. This spirit of misrule and merriment heavily influenced the Church's eventual framing of Christmas as a time of joy and community. But Saturnalia was not just a celebration, it was an acknowledgement of humanity's precarious place in the natural order. The rituals, while festive, were deeply spiritual, rooted in the cycles of the earth and the struggle for survival. Even as the Christian Church established December 25th as the date of Christ's birth, a choice likely influenced by its proximity to the solstice and Saturnalia, the transformation was never complete. Pagan symbols and practices remained embedded in the new holiday. The Yule log, a tradition from Germanic tribes, was originally a sun worship ritual meant to bring warmth and ward off evil spirits. Similarly, mistletoe, a plant sacred to the Druids, was believed to possess magical properties, bridging the human and divine realms. These ancient spiritual practices, stripped of their original meanings, were rebranded as harmless customs. Yet their roots lie in a worldview far removed from Christianity, a world where nature was alive with spirits, gods, and forces that demanded reverence and respect. The Church's effort to claim December 25th was more than a practical compromise. It was a spiritual battle. The dark nights of winter were long associated with forces of chaos and death. In pagan belief, this was a liminal time, when the veil between worlds was thin and spirits roamed freely. The rituals of the solstice, from lighting fires to invoking protective symbols, were as much about survival in the spiritual sense as they were about welcoming the sun. By co-opting these practices, the Church sought to channel their power into the narrative of Christ's victory over darkness. But the tension between old and new beliefs never fully disappeared. Pagan roots remained, whispering their ancient secrets beneath the surface of a seemingly Christian holiday. This is the paradox of Christmas, a celebration that bridges faiths and centuries, blending the sacred and the secular, the spiritual and the profane. As we peel back its layers, the story of this holiday becomes not one of unity, but of persistent duality, a testament to the resilience of ancient traditions in the face of change. The winter solstice has always been more than a simple calendar event. For ancient Germanic and Norse tribes, it was a season imbued with reverence, fear, and a deep sense of connection to unseen forces. Survival in the harsh northern climates demanded respect for the cycles of nature and the spirits believed to govern them. Winter's darkness was a liminal time, when ancestors and gods were thought to roam the earth, and the boundary between the living and the supernatural thinned. To these ancient peoples, the solstice was more than the longest night. It was a moment of cosmic renewal. Fires burned brightly in the night, not just to bring warmth, but to push back the malevolent spirits believed to haunt the cold. Gatherings and rituals served as acts of protection, asking for mercy and favor from deities and forces unseen. These were not mere customs. They were lifelines, rituals as essential as food and shelter for enduring the bleakest months. The early Christian Church faced a daunting question: how could it convert deeply pagan societies without alienating them? The solstice, with its entrenched significance, presented a unique challenge. Early Christian texts offered no fixed date for Christ's birth, leaving the Church with an opportunity to align its teachings with existing cultural rhythms. For centuries, the birth of Christ was not commemorated at all. It wasn't until Christianity gained influence within the Roman Empire that church leaders decided to establish a date for this event. Choosing December 25th was no coincidence. It was a strategic decision to coincide with solstice celebrations like Saturnalia and Yule. By framing Jesus as the true light returning to the world, the Church could seamlessly adapt the existing themes of rebirth, renewal, and hope into its narrative. This subtle transformation allowed pagan communities to continue their cherished traditions, only now with a Christian layer of meaning. Fires symbolized the light of Christ. Feasts became celebrations of divine grace. The solstice's deep spiritual resonance remained, but its focus shifted heavenward. Among the enduring symbols of winter solstice traditions, the evergreen tree holds a unique place. For the Germanic and Norse peoples, evergreens were powerful symbols of life's resilience. In a season where everything else succumbed to frost and snow, these trees stood unyielding, vibrant against the desolate landscape. Bringing branches of pine, fir, and holly indoors was more than decoration. It was an act of spiritual alignment with nature's enduring spirit. During Yule, the celebration of the solstice in Northern Europe, evergreens were believed to harbor protective powers. Adorning them with tokens, carvings, and bundles of food was a way to honor the spirits believed to reside within. These offerings were gestures of gratitude, requests for good fortune, and wards against the malevolent forces thought to roam the winter darkness. The Christian Church, rather than eradicating these practices, allowed them to persist. Over time, it redefined their meaning. The evergreen's resilience became a symbol of Christ's promise of eternal life, a representation of divine strength against the cold and dark. This quiet reinterpretation ensured the tradition could continue, seamlessly blending pagan spirituality with Christian theology. By the 16th century, German Christians had taken the evergreen tradition further, bringing entire trees into their homes. According to legend, Martin Luther himself played a key role in shaping the Christmas tree as we know it today. Inspired by a night walk under a starry sky, Luther is said to have placed candles on a small fir tree, recreating the celestial glow within his home. The candles symbolized Christ as the light of the world, shining through even the darkest night. This practice quickly grew, evolving with each region's unique contributions. Apples, representing the forbidden fruit of Eden, were hung on the branches in some areas. Wafers, symbolizing the Eucharist, were added in others. Over time, the tree transformed from a pagan emblem of survival to a centerpiece of celebration, uniting families in shared ritual. The Christmas tree reached the English-speaking world in the 19th century, largely due to Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Their depiction in an 1848 illustration, standing with their children around a decorated tree at Windsor Castle, captured the public imagination. The image sparked a trend, and the Christmas tree soon became a beloved fixture in households across England and America. Today's Christmas tree, adorned with electric lights, tinsel, and ornaments, might seem far removed from its ancient origins. Yet, its roots remain deeply spiritual. The act of bringing a tree into one's home and decorating it is an echo of ancient practices meant to honor nature, invoke protection, and celebrate life's endurance. The evergreen tree's journey from pagan ritual to Christian tradition reveals the complexity of the holiday's evolution. It is a testament to humanity's need to find meaning and hope in the darkest times, whether through invoking ancient spirits or celebrating a divine savior. The modern Christmas season is adorned with symbols that seem festive, but carry histories steeped in ancient spirituality and survival. Holly, ivy, and the Yule log, three central elements of winter celebrations, were not chosen for their decorative appeal alone. These items were powerful emblems in pagan rituals, representing protection, continuity, and hope in the bleakest of winters. Holly's glossy green leaves and vibrant red berries have captivated cultures for centuries. For the Celts, Romans, and Germanic tribes, holly was more than just a winter plant. It was a sacred protector. Its sharp, thorn-like leaves were believed to ward off malevolent spirits, while its bright berries symbolized life and vitality in a season of death. In Celtic mythology, holly was associated with the Holly King, a deity who ruled the darker half of the year, battling his counterpart, the Oak King, who represented summer. During winter, holly adorned doorways and windows as a shield, forming a natural barrier against the dangers of the season. For ancient peoples, this act was more than symbolic. It was spiritual defense against the unseen forces they believed roamed the long winter nights. Ivy, often paired with holly in modern decorations, carried its own mystical associations. Unlike holly, which stood resilient on its own, ivy was a clinging plant, wrapping itself tightly around trees and structures. Its ability to thrive in harsh conditions made it a symbol of persistence and faith. However, ivy's symbolism was complex. While it represented fidelity and resilience, it was also tied to Bacchus, the Roman god of wine and revelry. During Saturnalia, ivy became a key symbol of indulgence, feasting, and the inversion of societal norms. This dual nature, faithful endurance and wild abandon, made ivy a potent emblem of life's complexities during winter's dark and introspective season. The Yule log was perhaps the most vital symbol of all. In the harsh winters of Northern Europe, fire was more than comfort, it was survival. The Yule log, selected with care from sacred trees like oak or ash, was burned to mark the winter solstice and celebrate the sun's slow return. Families often carved symbols into the log, and in some traditions, sprinkled it with wine or salt as offerings. Its flames were thought to embody the sun's power, driving away darkness and ensuring the earth's fertility. The ashes of the burned log were kept as charms, scattered over fields to promote growth or stored in homes to ward off misfortune. As Christianity spread, these ancient symbols were not eradicated but adapted. Holly, once a shield against spirits, was recast as a symbol of Christ's suffering, its red berries representing the blood from his crown of thorns. Ivy, with its tenacious growth, came to signify faith's endurance, its clinging vines a metaphor for the soul's connection to God. The Yule log, with its sacred flames, became a quiet symbol of Christ as the light of the world. Fire, a universal symbol of hope and life, played an essential role in winter celebrations long before Christmas. Ancient peoples relied on fire to push back the oppressive darkness of winter. Bonfires marked the solstice across Europe, from Norse regions to Celtic lands, filling the night with warmth and light as a call for the sun's return. Within homes, candles became intimate sources of comfort and ritual. In Germanic traditions, candles were lit throughout the Yule season, their flames representing sparks of hope and renewal. Some cultures arranged candles in circles, symbolizing the eternal cycle of time and the promise of the sun's rebirth. Candles in windows held a dual purpose. They guided spirits or weary travelers while inviting warmth and protection into the home. Christianity readily embraced the symbolism of light. Christ, heralded as the light of the world, embodied hope and redemption in a darkened world. The adoption of candles into Christian traditions created a seamless link between ancient pagan practices and the new faith. The resilience of these symbols, holly, ivy, the Yule log, and fire, speaks to their profound spiritual resonance. They are reminders of humanity's enduring connection to the cycles of nature and the struggle to find light in darkness. As these ancient emblems were reinterpreted within Christian frameworks, their original meanings were never fully erased. Instead, they became layered with new significance, blending pagan survival rituals with the promise of salvation and hope. The flickering glow of candles has been intertwined with winter traditions for centuries, long before Christmas as we know it took form. In medieval Europe, churches glimmered with candles during the Christmas season, filling sacred spaces with an ethereal radiance that evoked the divine. These candles symbolized more than physical light. They represented spiritual guidance, the soul's journey, and humanity's hope amidst the cold darkness. By the 19th century, German households began adorning Christmas trees with candles, a practice that harked back to both pagan solstice fires and Christian themes of divine illumination. These candlelit trees were a mesmerizing sight, their small flames a nod to the ancient reverence for fire's power during the solstice. Over time, electric lights replaced candles, but the tradition remained, expanding to encompass glowing homes and city streets. Today's dazzling holiday lights might seem modern, but their lineage is deeply rooted in humanity's primal need for warmth and hope during the darkest time of the year. Every glowing bulb, every strand of twinkling light strung on a tree or across a rooftop, echoes the fires of old, the solstice bonfires, the Yule logs, and the protective flames meant to shield against winter spirits. The modern image of Santa Claus, a cheerful figure in a red suit, might seem innocuous, but his origins are far more complex and mysterious. Long before Santa, there was Odin, the All-Father of Norse mythology. Odin was a multifaceted god, a wanderer, a warrior, and a seer of fate, who roamed the mortal realm during the winter season. During Yule, Odin was said to ride through the skies on Sleipnir, his eight-legged horse, leading the spectral wild hunt, a procession of ghostly figures that swept across the land. This fearsome event was both a blessing and a warning. It could bring fortune to those it favored or doom to the unfortunate. Odin's connection to the winter season included a practice that eerily mirrors modern traditions. Children would leave out offerings of straw, carrots, or treats for Sleipnir, hoping to earn Odin's favor. In return, he might leave behind small gifts or blessings. This act of reciprocal giving laid the groundwork for the Santa Claus legend, where children today leave cookies and milk for his reindeer. As Christianity spread, Odin's legend mingled with that of Saint Nicholas, a 4th-century bishop renowned for his acts of generosity and miracles. Stories of Saint Nicholas rescuing children and delivering secret gifts spread across Europe, where they merged with local folklore. This blending of traditions transformed Saint Nicholas into figures like Father Christmas in England and Sinterklaas in the Netherlands, characters who carried both gifts and moral authority. In pre-Christian Europe, winter was a time of judgment as well as celebration. The solstice, with its long nights, was thought to thin the veil between worlds, allowing spirits and supernatural beings to walk freely. Santa Claus, in his modern benevolent form, obscures the duality of earlier winter figures, those who rewarded the worthy and punished the wicked. Odin embodied this dual nature. While he could bless mortals with gifts, he was also a figure of awe and fear, wielding power over life and death. This theme persisted in the evolution of Santa's legend. In some regions, Saint Nicholas was accompanied by a darker counterpart, such as Krampus in Central Europe, a horned creature who punished misbehaving children. This duality, of light and shadow, reward and punishment, reflects the ancient tension of the season. By the time Santa Claus arrived in America in the 19th century, writers and artists had softened his image, turning him into the merry, jolly figure we recognize today. However, the echoes of his pagan roots remain. Santa's midnight ride through the skies, his watchful gaze on children's behavior, and his enigmatic ability to deliver blessings or coal all trace back to Odin's spectral wild hunt. Santa Claus may dominate the modern Christmas mythos, but he is far from the only figure tied to December's longest nights. Across Europe, darker characters from folklore emerged, representing the fearful and mystical side of the season. These beings were tied to pre-Christian beliefs about winter as a liminal time, when spirits walked among the living and judgment was at hand. Figures like Krampus and other sinister winter visitors remind us that the holidays were once a blend of awe and fear. The cheer of modern Christmas obscures the ancient belief that winter was a time of reckoning, a season where both blessings and curses could descend. The season of joy and celebration has always carried a shadow, populated by figures that are as much about judgment as they are about festivity. Among the most infamous is Krampus, a horned, half-goat, half-demon creature from Alpine folklore. Where Street Nicholas rewards good children with gifts and treats, Krampus represents the darker side of the season, delivering punishment to those who misbehave. Krampus's terrifying presence is a vivid reminder that the holidays were once as much about morality and discipline as they were about generosity and cheer. Far from simply leaving coal, Krampus was said to swat naughty children with birch branches or even carry them off in his sack, a fate that left many children trembling in their beds. The roots of Krampus trace back to pagan traditions in the Alpine regions, where he may have originated as an ancient mountain spirit or demon tied to the harsh forces of nature. In the pre-Christian worldview, winter was a liminal time, a period when supernatural beings roamed freely, and Krampus personified these fears. When Christianity spread, the Church found it expedient to tolerate Krampus, allowing his terrifying image to act as a moral counterpoint to St. Nicholas's kindness. Traveling south to Italy, another mysterious figure emerges in the form of La Befana, the Christmas witch. Unlike the terrifying Krampus, La Befana is a gentler presence, though no less enigmatic. Said to travel the skies on her broomstick on the night before the Epiphany, she brings gifts to children across Italy. Well-behaved children receive treats, while the naughty ones find coal in their stockings. La Befana's origins are rooted in both Christian legend and older pagan traditions. According to one story, the wise men, journeying to find the Christ child, stopped to ask her for directions. Too busy with her housework, she declined to join them but later regretted her decision. In some versions, she sets out with gifts to find the child but never succeeds, forever wandering in search of redemption. However, her image as a solitary, broomstick-riding old woman suggests pre-Christian influences. La Befana may be a remnant of ancient goddesses or benevolent female spirits associated with hearth and home. The offerings of wine and snacks left for her mirror pagan rituals of appeasing deities or spirits to ensure protection and good fortune. In parts of Germany and Austria, Frau Perkta looms as a figure of both generosity and wrath. Known as a goddess-turned-witch, she roams the countryside during the 12 days of Christmas, rewarding those who uphold traditions and punishing those who neglect them. Good children might find a silver coin as a token of her favor, but those who fail to meet her standards, particularly in spinning wool, an important winter task, risk her terrifying vengeance. Legends describe her as slitting open the bellies of the lazy and stuffing them with straw. Frau Perchta's dual role underscores the sacred power of winter traditions and the consequences of abandoning them. These figures, Krampus, La Befana, and Frau Perchta, reflect a time when the winter season was seen as a period of reckoning. Their legends, blending pagan beliefs and Christian morality, serve as reminders of the balance between reward and punishment, light and shadow. While the dark figures of winter roamed the season, another tradition carried the promise of resilience and renewal: feasting. Across ancient cultures, the act of gathering around a table laden with food was more than just survival. It was a declaration of hope and defiance against the harshness of winter. In ancient Rome, the festival of Saturnalia was the heart of winter celebration. Honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and abundance, this week-long festival beginning on December 17th turned societal norms upside down. Masters served their slaves, gambling and revelry replaced restraint, and the rigid order of Roman life dissolved into joyous chaos. Feasting was central to Saturnalia, with tables piled high in honor of Saturn. The abundance of food was an act of gratitude to the gods and an assertion that life would endure even in the face of winter's scarcity. In a season often marked by hardship, Saturnalia offered a fleeting glimpse of abundance and freedom. Further north, among the Germanic and Norse peoples, the Yule festival marked the winter solstice with hearty feasts and communal gatherings. These meals were filled with simple yet symbolic fare, meat, bread, and ale, that brought warmth and comfort to long, cold nights. Yule was a time to honor the Norse god Freyr, associated with fertility and prosperity. Feasting was an act of reverence, not just for the gods, but for the community itself. Every shared bite and drink around the fire symbolized solidarity and the collective vow to endure winter's challenges together. For ancient peoples, food was not merely sustenance, it was a symbol of life's persistence. Feasting served multiple purposes. It honored the gods, warded off despair, and reaffirmed the bonds of family and community. The overflowing tables of Saturnalia and the communal meals of Yule were acts of defiance against the cold, a way to declare that even in the darkest season, life and joy could prevail. Winter feasts, steeped in ancient rites and spiritual significance, have evolved into one of the most cherished aspects of the Christmas season. What began as acts of defiance against the cold, a celebration of survival, and a plea for divine favor has transformed into grand holiday gatherings filled with warmth, joy, and togetherness. When Christianity began to absorb pagan customs, the solstice feasts were reimagined within a Christian framework. What was once a celebration of Saturn's abundance or Yule's endurance became a reflection of Christ's birth. The communal nature of these meals, however, remained unchanged. Whether in the banquet halls of medieval Europe or at today's dining tables, the essence of these gatherings persisted, sharing abundance, forging bonds, and offering hope. Traditions like the Christmas hymn echo the sacred boar offerings of Yule, symbolizing prosperity and plenty. Mince pies, plum puddings, and roasted meats have become staples, their rich flavors representing the abundance that ancient feasts sought to invoke. Each dish is more than just food, it's a continuation of the solstice's enduring message. There is enough warmth, enough food, and enough hope to carry through the darkest season. In Victorian England, these traditions reached new heights. Holiday meals became a symbol of Christmas itself, immortalized by Charles Dickens in A Christmas Carol. The Cratchit family's humble yet joyful feast reminded readers that Christmas was about togetherness, not wealth. The food on the table became a symbol of gratitude and community, a legacy of those ancient winter rituals of solidarity and celebration. The act of gift-giving, now a cornerstone of Christmas, also has roots in ancient winter rites. In times when resources were scarce, sharing offerings with gods, spirits, and the community was an act of faith and hope for survival. These gifts symbolized reciprocity. What was given would be returned, whether through divine favor, communal bonds, or the cycles of nature. In ancient Rome, Saturnalia featured the exchange of small gifts among friends and family. These offerings were modest, candles to symbolize returning light or clay figurines representing gods who could grant blessings. Gift-giving during Saturnalia was not just an act of generosity, it was a ritual acknowledgement of nature's cycles and the hope for renewal. In Germanic and Norse cultures, Yule involved offerings to wandering spirits believed to travel during the solstice. Families left small gifts, often food, outside their doors to appease these beings and protect their homes. In some legends, even Odin received offerings as he rode across the sky on Sleipnir, his eight-legged horse. When Christianity adopted these customs, the story of the Magi bringing gifts to the Christ child provided a new narrative framework. The Magi's gold, frankincense, and myrrh became symbols of divine homage, setting an example for gift-giving as a way to honor Christ's birth. Yet, even as these traditions shifted, the essence of ancient offerings, seeking protection, luck, and blessings, remained. Before door-to-door caroling became a cheerful Christmas pastime, wassailing was an ancient ritual of blessing and protection. The term wassail originates from the Old Norse vs heil, meaning be well or be in good health. It was a communal act of invoking health and abundance, often directed at orchards during the barren winter months. Villagers would gather and travel from orchard to orchard, singing blessings to the trees and pouring cider or ale over their roots. This act was both an offering and a ceremony to awaken the tree's spirits, drive away malevolent forces, and ensure a bountiful harvest in the coming year. Loud shouts and the clanging of pots accompanied these songs, creating a blend of reverence and rowdy celebration. Over time, the focus of wassailing shifted from orchards to households. By the Middle Ages, groups of wassailers began traveling from home to home, singing songs in exchange for food and drink. This tradition mirrored the reciprocity of earlier practices. Blessings given were blessings returned. Households offered spiced cider, ale, or mulled wine to their visitors, fostering a spirit of community and generosity. The wassail bowl itself became a symbol of these exchanges, a communal vessel filled with warm, spiced drink, shared among singers and hosts alike. The act of wassailing embodied the enduring winter message of mutual support, good fortune, and the belief that what is given in goodwill will be returned many times over. From the overflowing tables of Saturnalia to the wassail bowls of medieval Europe, the rituals of winter have always been about more than survival. They are celebrations of community, hope, and the promise of brighter days ahead. Every feast, gift, and song carries the echo of these ancient practices, reminders of humanity's resilience in the face of winter's chill. Christmas today is a dazzling fusion of rituals and traditions, a holiday that blends sacred meanings with secular joys. Yet beneath the cheerful lights and festive songs lies a rich history that stretches back to ancient times, a story of survival, spirituality, and the primal human need to find hope in the darkest days of winter. What we now call Christmas caroling began as a mystical practice, deeply rooted in the belief that blessings exchanged in song could shield communities from winter's dangers. Early wassailers sang to orchards, pouring cider onto tree roots and invoking protection for the harvest to come. These songs weren't just entertainment, they were acts of faith, binding communities together in defiance of the cold. As time passed, the tradition evolved. The mystical songs for trees and spirits transformed into cheerful carols sung from door to door. Yet the essence of the act remains, an exchange of goodwill and warmth, echoing the belief that kindness and generosity could summon light even in the darkest times. Today, carolers sing beneath electric lights instead of starry skies, and gifts are exchanged in brightly wrapped packages. But these modern rituals still carry traces of their ancient origins, where every act of giving or singing was a gesture of hope. Christmas, as we know it, is a patchwork of traditions from around the globe, stitched together over centuries. Its modern form reflects a mosaic of ancient customs, Christian theology, and contemporary adaptation. In Japan, for example, Christmas has become a festive, secular occasion marked by unique customs like eating Christmas cake and fried chicken. While these practices may seem far removed from Yule feasts or Saturnalia, they share a common spirit, the celebration of abundance and joy during winter's depths. The transformation of Christmas into a global phenomenon owes much to the 20th century. Companies like Coca-Cola helped cement the image of Santa Claus as a jovial, red-suited figure, spreading this interpretation worldwide. But even this seemingly commercial icon is tied to ancient folklore. Santa's midnight ride, his watchful eye, and his mysterious presence all trace back to figures like Odin, the Norse god who rode through winter skies, and Saint Nicholas, the saint whose kindness inspired countless legends. Modern Christmas blurs the lines between its sacred and secular origins. Hymns celebrating Christ's birth coexist with light-hearted songs like Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Advent calendars, once a religious countdown to Christmas Day, now hold chocolates or toys. The blending of traditions mirrors the Church's incorporation of pagan customs centuries ago, creating a holiday that feels both familiar and ever-changing. At its core, however, Christmas remains what it has always been, a celebration of resilience and warmth. The feasts, fires, and gatherings of ancient Saturnalia, Yule, and other solstice rites live on in our modern meals, decorations, and shared stories. Each tradition, whether lighting a tree, sharing gifts, or singing carols, continues humanity's age-old quest to find light and community in the darkness of winter. Christmas's enduring power lies in its ability to balance light and shadow, joy and mystery. Beneath its festive veneer is the primal human desire to conquer winter's chill, to find hope in the face of uncertainty. Santa's jovial presence carries echoes of Odin's ominous wild hunt. The bright green of the Christmas tree is a reminder of ancient evergreens, symbols of life's persistence through the cold. Even the songs of carolers are distant descendants of the wassailers, whose voices once blessed the orchards. This interplay between light and dark, sacred and secular, is what makes Christmas timeless. It is a holiday that invites us to reflect on the mysteries of the past, even as we embrace the comforts of the present. Every candle lit, every gift exchanged, and every feast shared connects us to a history that is both ancient and immediate. As you gather by the glow of the Christmas tree or enjoy a meal with loved ones, take a moment to recognize the ancient echoes in these traditions. The modern holiday, with all its joy and cheer, is built upon the resilience of those who came before us. It is a testament to humanity's ability to find hope, warmth, and light in even the coldest seasons. In the festive lights, there is the memory of solstice fires. In every carol sung, the whispers of ancient blessings. And in each act of generosity, the enduring belief that what is given in goodwill will return, like the sun after the longest night.